So I was having this conversation with a friend, and she's bringing up this idea that of how the way she deals with trust and kind of like trusting other people and how much you let them connect and all this has kind of like changed for her throughout the years. Um, and she was explaining that part of the reason it has changed is that in the past she feels now that in the past she was like very trusting of other people, and that somehow led to people maybe taking advantage of her, or doing things to her, or that interaction somehow ending in a way that was hurtful for her. And so she kind of like asked me like how like what is it like for you, like did you take a while to build trust? Because for her now, she takes kind of like her time with people. She doesn't trust people kind of like immediately, and she kind of with time and against I guess how people behave and all those kind of things, she decides if she's gonna like trust that person or not based on kind of like their attitude and how she feels about them, to try to avoid people who are maybe like trying to be nice but they're trying to get like something from her, stuff like that. Um, so I felt like it was kind of like an interesting question because I feel like for me, in a sense, I do trust people. Like, I guess, I guess if I had to choose where to begin, where to start a relationship, I have a hard time convincing myself that people I stumble upon should earn their trust. I think I'm more in a position or a mindset in which I feel like it's the other way around, that they should kind of like earn their untrust in a sense. Um, and now that said, I feel like I define the line in a very like soft way, that people that I don't trust in a sense, I won't necessarily like throw them away or anything like that. I think it's more like in areas that I know that I cannot trust them in. So say that there are things that I cannot bring as a part of conversation to them because they're gonna take it in some other direction. It's gonna make things more complicated. Then I know that those are conversations that I should not have with them. But I do know that there are other conversations that I can have with them that are perfectly fine. And I think this is how I kind of balance it out, because I feel like um, to some degree, not all the people that we meet and not all the people that we really connect with are going to connect with everything that we need to talk about or everything that we might need help with. Um, and so, and I find that to be completely okay. That um, in truth, if someone can't help you with someone with something, or something is difficult for them to kind of like listen through, or hear you out on, then that's fine. You know, that there shouldn't be any pressure on them to try to act a certain way or not a certain way. Um, but then at the same time, with all this, the other part is that I feel like I also feel like everyone's trying to do their best. That at the end of the day, you know, there are no 100% like evil people or 100% good people. What we have is a bunch of people out in this very confusing world trying to figure out things as they go. So oftentimes, yeah, they might do things that might not seem helpful or might not seem like the best way that they could have assessed the situation. Um, but I think for the most part, people are acting on their best intentions most of the time. That people, when they do something that seems right, or maybe that doesn't seem right, they're mostly acting of what things looked like at the time that they had to make the decision on the action, or at the time that they had to make the action. Even sometimes you don't even have time to make a conscious decision. You just have to kind of like do something, or something you just kind of like react or flinch. And so I think where I stand is this idea of giving people space to be them, that the way in which they act and the way in which they navigate and interact with you might not be the way we want them to, or might not be what we were expecting of them, or all these ideas that we might have. But if we do have that perspective that people are generally trying to do what seems the most right to them, even if it doesn't make sense to us, if we have that, if we can give them that space, I think it just kind of puts us in a more forgiving, I'm not sure if that's the best word for this, but maybe in a more like forgiving space to not only be more cognizant of how things can develop, or how things can unfold with them, but I think as we do that for other people, we also do that for ourselves. That if we can be more trusting of the world, I think it also, by proxy, helps us become more trusting of ourselves. Helps us when we make mistakes, or when we do things and then we look back and we're like, fuck, why did we do something like that, or why did we act in that way? We can be a little more forgiving of ourselves and say, hey, this didn't go exactly as maybe I would have wanted it to, but now I know how it played out, and now I can whenever I'm in this situation again, I can deal with it a little bit differently. And if the next time doesn't work, again, you know that the next time you can do it a little bit differently, and a little bit differently, until you get to a point in which things feel right.